Hello, welcome to Tweet the Leader New podcast where we chat about realistic leadership theories. On today's podcast, we're going to be talking about what happens when change takes place. Welcome on today's episode. Rex, Josh, what's going on?
This is it, bro. This is it. I'm happy to be here again. I'm the co-host,
Yeah.
me and Josh, but I'm happy to be here.
Yeah, you think he's a celebrity
Oh,
co-host?
well,
you think he's a celebrity co-host, but you know what? We got to talk about change today, okay? We got to make sure that we adapt and what happens when change takes place. What is your reaction, Josh, when change has to happen?
What do you mean in terms of
Like, what is your facial reaction?
I guess it depends what change is. I think there's multiple types of things, but most times I don't like change. I guess the change is hard for. I think most people feel that way. But yeah, it's like you have to face it. It's like an inevitable, I suppose.
Right.
And just being able to, have an open mindset and and work through problems and change that has to happen.
Yeah.
And I think change is a good thing.
It is a good thing. It is a hard thing, like you said, but it's a good thing. Same as what we spoke about in one of the episodes about adaptability.
Right.
It's adapting, changing in order for you to move forward, in order for you to take place of whatever you're doing. What about you, Rex?
Well, I would say change. What happens when change takes place? It can be good. It can be bad.
That's true.
It can be in between. But again, what happens when change takes place? It's like we're growing.
Yeah.
I don't know. I
My
know
reaction
what
is
I'm
like,
trying to say. Like, change.
That's my reaction. I was like,
But like it's like change in everything though. It's like, what happens when change takes place? Like, you're shocked.
Yeah.
You're like,
Yeah.
I would say, for example, for me, I know we talk about previous episodes about adaptability, but I feel as if this also ties into one of the episodes as well, where a change, what happens when change takes place, you become a new person possibly. You become, I open up to a lot of stuff when change takes place. So you'd be like shocked, you'd be like amazed of like, wow, I didn't know that could be possible,
Right.
or you're shocked. So
Right.
I would say that.
And I think people think, I think change happens literally every moment of the day. And I think you don't even see a lot of the changes that happen in your life until
Right.
you notice them and until
Right.
they, how a big moment happens. But
Right.
And that's true, because the moments that happen, it helps us to evolve into our true self. But also, there are people who are involved in that change process.
Right.
And we talked about there are change makers in society, and who helps us to grow, and there are advocate groups in society as well that helps us want to change something or help us want to have an urge to do something. That's what change does. Change gives you an urgency of why it's important to do it. And why it gets you off your by your seat of it, like sitting down and saying, okay, I have to do this. I have to make this happen. Now what?
Right.
Who are those change makers in your life that allows you to change?
I think it goes back to yourself mainly, like in terms of your own life. I mean, you're the only one that can affect your personal space.
Right.
So obviously there's outside influences that can affect you, and there's things that even you can't control, but a lot of the times, you just have to worry about yourself and not worry about the other.
And I can touch on that. Like, it comes with you, like being you too. So that, like, being knowing who you are as a person, and also for me, when it comes down to, my diet, I'd be like, no, I'm not eating it. So I cut out red meat and pork from like last year, and like, I had to make that change, and I was like, oh, when I first started, I was like, oh, I can't, I have to have a burger, or I have to. There's also alternatives there, so there's like turkey burger, chicken burger. So I have that,
Right.
But again, that comes with change, and I was shocked to see like, wow, it's been a year and a half, and I haven't eaten beef or pork. So again,
And some people think it's a bad thing to do
Right,
that.
right.
And some people think
I
it's
just
bad.
choose to wanted
You
to do
choose.
that, right.
Yeah, and that's the good thing about change, that you have a choice
Right.
to want to do it. And,
Right.
and that's why I always tell people, so don't hurt your head.
Right.
about changing is up to you. You have to be
Absolutely.
comfortable with doing it. You have
Yeah.
to be aware of why you're doing it. And all that good
Absolutely.
stuff.
I think also people they don't give themselves enough time to change. I think they like in
Happens
terms of
overnight.
diet, maybe they'll
Right.
they go a few
Patience.
weeks and then they go back to their old habits and they're like,
Right.
oh, I can't do this. But you have to be okay with having slip ups, and you have to
Right.
be okay with understanding that it's not going to be a straightforward linear path.
Right.
Being okay with the journey.
Right. Tell me then. I
know-
put you.
I know you always want
I
me in the
have
hot
to put
seat,
you on the
Rex.
spot.
I know you always want me in
But
the hot
like,
seat.
tell me, like, who do you look up to when it comes down to change? Who inspires you or who motivates you to take on that change?
Yeah, for me, I will always say my mom. I would say that she is the builder who has brought a lot of things, because we as a family has went through a lot. Because I grew up in a family of a single parent, where my mom had to do majority of the work as a playing the male
Your father figure.
father figure and the
Right.
mother figure as well. And so she has allowed me to see a lot of ways to change and how to want to go ahead to adapt to different things. And my mom, she sees me as an individual who changes on a daily basis. And she knows that I have a mind of my own and I will
Right.
change and adapt in different areas. And I remember at the first time when it came down to me moving to Canada
Right.
and having to adjust into to change into a different climate and different atmosphere. My mom was like so afraid. She was very afraid to leave me there, but she saw the confidence I had in myself to want to change and was eager for it to happen. But I realized after the fact when she left, I realized that, oh, she's not there. It was hard for me. I cried a little bit. I was emotional a little bit. But at the end of the day, I still allowed myself to want to do this. And when you're changing, you should always remember your why.
Yeah, I think that's a good point for sure. You don't want to change for the wrong reason.
Right.
Yeah. You
Why am I
always
actually
need to
changing?
remember your why you're doing it, because it helps
Right.
you to understand, hey, I'm doing this because of this. I'm
Right.
doing this because of that.
Yeah, you don't want to be influenced by people, other people where their
Yeah.
opinions matter, but they don't matter more than your own and your own.
Right.
Yeah.
Goals. Totally right.
Yeah. And I would say because of that role model that my mom has instilled in me, every time I go home at the ending part of the year, after I work hard, give myself tirelessly to the community and volunteer my time and give my time to work, I go home back in the Bahamas to go home to my mom and to remember my why.
Right.
And she's one of those why reasons as to why I started,
Right.
because I want to make her proud. I want to make her, and I know I make her proud on a daily
I love
basis.
that.
And
I
I know
love
that she
that.
sees that for sure. But it's always good to make your parents proud and all that good stuff. And so she's definitely a change maker for me, and that role model for me. And of course, there are other people for sure who is being that pillar of mentorship to me personally. But I would say my overall mentor is my mom, because she is that person who allowed me to do extracurricular activities, even though she knew that it was too much for me.
Right.
And all that good stuff. She just said, you know what, do what you got to do.
Right.
Your leadership will take you places.
Right.
And she knew that because I believed in myself, she saw the change.
I love that.
Yeah.
Yeah.
I think that's really important. And I feel that a lot of people feel that it's a bad thing to change. And it's a negative thing to change because you don't want other people can adjust to that change with you.
Right.
Yeah, it's like the fear of losing something they've had in the past. The fear of losing something that's comfortable. Like I think comfortability is a big issue.
Right. Absolutely.
Yeah.
Yeah.
So being able to go out of your comfort zones and being able to explore,
like that.
and that's how change occurs.
Why is change necessary?
For growth, I would say for growth, just to grow, because I mean, it's like if you don't take change, then you'll always be the same. Like,
Yeah.
if that makes sense, like you're always growing, you're always.
It's inevitable, so you have to do it
Right,
anyway.
it happens. It
Yeah.
happens. Like just for example, age, you're going to change
Yeah.
your facial your facial features and your body type. So I mean, it's like change is like inevitable, as Josh said. Like it will come automatically, right? So yeah, growth. Why?
When you're growing different ways, and I want to focus on the employment aspect of companies today, focusing on change in their organization and shifting different cultural perspectives and bringing in different people, because sometimes it's hard when you want to bring those
Right.
different diverse perspectives into the room, because you know that it will make you
Comfortable,
uncomfortable,
right.
to want to do what you got to do. But
Right.
you got to do what you got to do.
Right, exactly. And you touch on a good point when it comes down to in the workplace. It's being, I may say how to say it, but diversity and inclusion. It's so important that we bring it in the workplace. Because persons are unconscious, don't know what a different culture is experiencing. So again, it may be uncomfortable. It will be uncomfortable. Conversations will be uncomfortable. But again, adapting and changing to that and learning is all. It's important.
And there's trends just in the world as well that there's changes literally happening in society.
Absolutely.
And the countries and the towns that you live in, the companies that that are influenced or that influence you. So you have to be able to adapt to that too, in terms of companies and being able to see what is still productive, what is still effective,
Right.
and how to be more effective in terms
Right.
of that.
If your actions inspire others to dream more, to do more, and to become more, you're doing leadership. How do you feel about that?
I like that. Say it again. If your
Actions
actions.
inspire others to dream more, to do more, and to become more, then you're doing leadership.
Yeah, I think like in terms of, because we're always trying to self-improve as well, right? So it's like kind of a collective journey. Like
Right.
life is a collective journey. We're all trying to help each other to get
Right.
to be the best versions of everyone.
Right.
So I think that's kind of what you can talk about in terms of that quote.
I always put you on the spot. What do you think about that?
Well, I always think about, like you said, being the best version of yourself. And I always say that and my ending quotes of a message to people: be you, be authentic. And when you are inspiring others to dream more, do more, become more, listen, that's what I do as a leader.
I love that.
Yeah.
And that makes me passionate to wake up every morning to think about, I'm going to inspire someone today.
Right. Sure.
I'm going to allow persons to dream more and to become more. And the coming week is going to be really exciting, that there's going to be a launching of different things that I had to do in order to change. I'm building a course,
Right.
which I never thought I would have done.
Right.
And so things like that has caught me out of my comfort zone this year. And there's a lot of other projects that is going to happen this year that is going to help me to want to change and to shift my mindset to a different. And in order for change to happen, you have to, and I always got to say, you got to make sure the atmosphere is right. The atmosphere has to be right. And we spoke about this in adaptability, and we spoke about this in other episodes. But it's true.
Right.
It aligns with these topics that we talk about on Tweet the Leader New podcast. And I look forward to so much conversations that we're going to bring to the table, because I feel like there's no room for any of the conversation. I mean, there's no limit.
Limits, exactly.
There's no limit for all the topics that we're going to talk about. So bring the conversations. And we're going to start some new things where we want to hear from you, the audience, where we want to hear your topics that you want to hear on Tweet the Leader New podcast. That will help us to understand the way of change, because sometimes there are certain topics that we're not touching that
Right.
we don't even know that we're not
Right.
touching.
We don't know it all. We're not the
And
experts.
so, and I
right.
think that that's really important, that as we grow this round table discussion, but more of a couch conversation,
Right.
not couch conversation, but table conversations and all that good stuff. I feel like it's really good that we're gonna be able to change from it.
Right.
Do you feel it? Do
I
you
feel it.
Do you feel that you're gonna change?
Can't you feel the love
Listen,
tonight?
yeah. You're gonna feel the change, and I feel that I'm so appreciative of both of you being a part of the team, the co-host team, because as we talk about these topics, I'm hoping that you're changing in all the things that we're learning from other people that we bring on the topics.
Of course.
For sure. And like I said, when I hear you both speak, and I like how you challenge me in different questions, because it helps me to change in a different perspective
Right.
and to go into a different role. Because sometimes in change, you have to know when to be a teacher,
Right.
and you have to know when to be a student.
Right.
Yeah, for sure.
Absolutely.
That's a great point.
That's a change. That's change. That's
Yeah,
a change.
yeah, and you
I
have
like that.
and you have to know when to shift in those areas.
Right.
And I love to be a student. I
Right.
love to change my mindset to be a student
Mm.
and to learn from someone and to be that person. But then I love to inspire and turn my head on to be a
Right.
teacher
Right.
and to give back to that. So
sure.
I think this has been a great discussion.
For sure.
We're definitely going to be talking about change more often. Because I
Absolutely.
think that we're changing a lot on
Absolutely.
#2 Hashtag change more. All that good stuff.
It's the hashtag.
It's the hashtag for me.
For
yeah,
me.
Yeah. Listen, Josh, Rex, you've been an awesome co-host, and we look forward to more as
Yeah.
we continue. Thank you so much, everyone, for listening to today's episode. Subscribe to Tweet the Leader New on Instagram, on CKDU, Dalhousie's radio station in Halifax, at 4:30 on Thursdays, every Thursday at 4:30. And I feel like it's really good to share that now, that we can say that Tweet the Leader New is growing.
Growing.
And we're changing lives and all that
And
good stuff.
adapting.
And adapting and all that good stuff. So thank you, everyone, and see you at the next episode.